According to 2010 census predictions, Latinos are expected to make up the majority of California's population. Yet in the 2008-2009 school year, they only made up about 17% of the undergraduate population. African Americans make up about 7% of the overall California population, yet only make up about 2.6% of the student population. So why don't the demographics match up? In 2005, Gloria Moran addressed this question through the production of a mockumentary entitled Where Are All the Chicanos?, focusing on the lack of Chicanos at UCSC. 5 years later, Gloria is now a graduate student at UCSC, still concerned with the lack of students of color on campus.
To date now, I don't think that things have really changed. I don't think that, we see these increasing numbers. I think even what my film might even, kind of doesn't even get into, but it's a conversation piece or a point of interest, is the fact that a lot of students of color are not matriculating through the system. They're not finishing. They might be coming in higher numbers at the university, but they're not finishing in those higher numbers. And there's a lot of different reasons behind that.
Much scarier statistics show that both Latinos and African Americans are more likely to be seen behind bars than on the college campus. Larry Trujillo is a lecturer in the Community Studies Department and has spent some time studying the underrepresentation of communities of color in education.
I think if we don't sustain early outreach programs and recruitment programs and retention programs when students are here, we won't have that growth in the pipeline. So it's real critical that we fix K through 12 and that we have resources at the university that provide retention when students get here. Going back to your question, do student groups make a difference? They make a huge difference. I think some of the most vibrant programs going on in terms of retention or some of the student-initiated programs.
An example of student-initiated outreach and retention programs is Engaging Education, or E-Squared. It is comprised of multiple student organizations who provide services and support to secure the advancement of students of color in multiple levels of education. Chelsea Johnson-Long, co-chair of Engaging Education, explains more.
All of the outreach programs that we house have existed before E-Squared existed. And basically, all of those outreach programs kind of came out of different ethnic student organizations. And so when E-Squared was formed, it was a way to kind of bridge all of those programs that were happening in separate spaces together, to provide them with, a space to organize in, resources, copies, staplers, all of that kind of stuff. But then also just to provide like a political context and education around the work that they were doing. Before E-Squared existed, folks were coordinating these programs out of their dorm rooms. They weren't getting any sort of pay or institutional support. They were doing it on top of working 2 or 3 jobs and taking a full load. And so this is really a way to legitimate the work that folks are doing.
Hopefully, with the coming years, we'll see more diversity on campus. This is Roberta Camarena for Banana Slug News. Back to you in the studio.